Morning, I woke up and it was a great day. We had some plans going on. You know, my son Benjamin, he's been asking to go watch the new Captain America movie. Loves Marvel, loves superheroes. 5, about to be 6 years old. Daddy, I want to go see Captain America. Daddy brought it up every day. Couldn't go last weekend. We had some family in town. Yesterday, we had the ability to go. And, you know, I'm sitting in the movie theater. Me and Ben split a popcorn. He got him some, lime, no sugar Powerade that he loves. Your boy got a water. We're about to go in there and watch a Louisiana man himself and Anthony Mackie kick the Red Hulk's ever-living ass. And all of a sudden, sitting in the movie theater, my phone, burn. And I'm like, why are so many people texting me sounding like a vibrator? Because that's just what it sounded like. And I was very interested to find out that I was accused of being a Bama homer or a Bama guy because I have a helmet right here, even though we do a national college football show. By the way, they will probably have 20,000 subscribers, if not more, by the end of the season. And I can't just talk. I'm not just talking LSU the whole time. That I do a college football show nationally all year round. Here's the truth. Disagree, agree, I don't care. We were one of, if not the first independent media source. The way of news and how people consume news are different. Very early in my career, I saw that this could be a thing, and, well, our whole world of how you consume news and how you consume things have been completely changed. If you think the guy that started all this and made it cool to have a podcast when it came to LSU and goes nightly, weekly, sometimes 6-7 times a week when it warrants itself, and do probably 14 podcasts a week, which can be exhausting, that I'm a Bama fan. Jesus, Mary and Joseph. There's something that comes a part of being and having reality versus running with rumors on Twitter because you're trying to seek something much different than the human person cannot give you. We have built our platform based off of trust. That's why all of you come in here. But it was not missed upon me that your boy got labeled a Bama homer. Well, the only reason you're doing this is because you inspired to be like us. That's all I'm going to say. We got some baseball recap that we need to get to here. We'll go through all 3 games. By the way, need to bring this up too. We talk about this every single year when we do LSU baseball postgame show. And if you're a betting man, I would very much bet that you could see us late tonight after an LSU versus Nichols game. We might even double up here tonight or today and do 2 shows. That'll be really fun. But we'll break down this weekend's games. But I want to start off by saying this. There's a difference of panicking versus talking about the reality of the situation. If Jay Johnson's going to admit that they have to execute better with the bases loaded, it's not that people are panicking. 2 things can be true at once. There's no reason to panic that you lost a game against Omaha. There's also need to be discussion of, hey, man, you got to be better in some of these situations. It's baseball. Get over it. So we'll break down these 3 games as well. Not this week. We'll finish this week. On to the next topic. But there are 5 names that next Saturday that you're going to want to need to keep your eyes out for when we go out to spring football. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Count them on your fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 players that we're going to bring up here before we go to Carter Bryant at 7:35. See? At 1:35, there are some players we have heard about, need to talk about. Guys, spring football is here. This is the last week. Officially, Saturday will be a week away, but it'll be a last official week that we don't have spring football. But there are 5 people that we need to discuss here, maybe even 6 if you want to throw in DJ Pickett, who continues to turn heads every single week. So let's get to some baseball. Carter Bryant will be joining us, and we'll give you some names that we've been hearing that have really turned some heads here early on in the offseason. And by the way, we'll come out after this and talk about Terry Joseph leaving the Texas Longhorns and why, and going to the New Orleans Saints. I think for what it's worth, Terry Joseph, I think is a fantastic hire for the New Orleans Saints because we saw Terry take a room that was very bad at Texas, and through the recruiting process, or now what would need to be through the draft process, really transform a room. There are some safeties for Texas that will be in this year's draft, some guys, some DBs that were from Texas that if you get one of them, I think that Terry can work with. I also would say that Kellen Moore just did LSU a massive solid by getting Terry Joseph off of the staff of Texas. Blaine Bradford is still out there and not committed. Thank you, Kellen Moore, for doing LSU a solid. I think if you know, then you ultimately will know. But it's a big deal. I think Terry Joseph is a great coach, but it's also a big deal for LSU as well. Terry made a room that was in the 100s. Last year, Texas passing yards allowed, there were 108 in passing yards allowed was the University of Texas. This year, Texas was 7th in passing yards allowed, but here's the thing. They're only 7th because they played more games than anyone. Think about that for just a moment. Texas played more games than anyone in the SEC, but they did tie with Ohio. They didn't tie with Ohio State. 16 games Texas played. On average, they were a yard shy of being the number one secondary in the entire country. I know their schedule was a little light, but they showed, even against Ohio State with good personnel, how good they can be. So I think the hire of Terry Joseph is a very, very good one. All right, let's get to a couple of these. Jeremy says, watching on my lunch break. Good to have you in here. We got a lot of football, Jeremy, that we got to talk about here today too, as well as baseball. Greg says, I think baseball had a good weekend despite the one loss. Omaha is a good team, and tough losses will happen. Texas A&M also lost. I agree with you. Rob Boudreaux says, you always need to get better. Without a doubt. With 100%. And listen, again, I think multiple things can be true at once. You can't have 2 innings with the bases loaded, one inning having no outs, and then in the other inning having 1 out, and you get no runs. That cannot happen. It doesn't matter who you're playing. It doesn't matter any part of the season. You can't have that happen, right? I think that that's fair. You got to be better there. And here's the truth, and we'll talk about this in just a moment. You showed that in the 9th inning in Game 2. And then you completely blew the doors off in Game 3. So it's not as if that you needed to worry, or you should have worried. But you need to point it out. Bryce Roberts says, let's go. Good to have you in here. Dylan Smith says, somebody call an ambulance. 1 p.m. AYS, something about to get spicy. Nothing spicy. I just think it's crazy that people want to say that we do a national college football show, and even though I have LSU here, I have Paul Skeens and Dylan Cruz signed helmet right here. I have Dylan Cruz signed jersey, Tommy Tanks, and right here in the studio. I'm not. One day I'll show you this, but something that we did in NIL for LSU. Yeah, I'm the one that is a Bama homer. Yeah, sure. I guess it is spicy, but my phone was ringing. And boy, here's the thing too that I've learned about people in this business. People are petty. Ooh, people are petty. They love to get you worked up. So stupid. Cole Adams says, it seems like Stanfield is the Energizer buddy with different. We're different with him and without. I agree. Matthew Conkle says they see that Bama helmet in the corner and start to act up. Right, Matthew. Brother, you want me to do a national college football show with nothing but LSU stuff on? But what are we doing? By the way, we do them back to back. Tennessee, I have someone that's on the staff. Alabama, I was given that because I had a cousin that was on staff. He was also at the University of Georgia. I think you could put it together. By the way, I'm going to put an Ohio State one when I see him next. So stupid. So stupid. 2017, we started this podcast. Now, we didn't do videos the whole time, but we've been around here a long time. Coming up on 10 years. Almost a decade in a couple of years. 8 years of covering LSU stuff. It's been fun. Chris Lomax says, why haven't we seen Eddie Yaman play yet? That's a good question that I do not have the question or the answer to. I do not know. Who's going to start on the mound tonight? Why ain't Gavin Guidry been there? I thought Gavin Guidry, per Jay, that he was going to be there on Monday. Or he was going to start on Friday or get some time on Friday. It's going to be interesting to see who starts tonight. That's all I'm going to say. All right, let's get to it. We'll come back, recap 5-6 names that you need to keep your eyes out for going into spring football, and then Carter Bryant will join us at 7:35. Let's do this. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share to all those groups if you're on Facebook and to all those social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell, wherever you listen to podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe. Let's talk about our good friends over at betonline.ag and all of our great sponsors. When we come back, we have lots of baseball and football to discuss. Stay with us. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events, with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Foss and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with the great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Foss has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirements. Okay. Cole in the chat said you're going at 7:35. I keep always saying 7:35 because that's when Carter joins us. We don't – in the offseason of football, we never really go live at 1. But because we have a game tonight, there's so many things going on around here. No, we're live right now. What I will tell you, there's a strong possibility that we're going to try to do a post game tonight if we can, if we have the time, if it's not too late, whatever. There's a strong likelihood that we'll be live twice today. We'll be back live probably at the end of LSU versus Nichols here. Let's get to this. So let's wrap up LSU baseball weekend as they take 2 or 3 from Omaha. And listen, just because I know that this video and section is going to be clipped here, let's talk about this. There's a reason, and I think 2 things can be true at once. There's a reason between panicking and pointing out the obvious. There's a difference between saying and tweeting, hey, you can't leave the bases loaded twice in 2 innings. When you play with fire, at some point you're going to get burned. It doesn't matter that LSU lost in game 2. Guys, it's baseball. These things are and will and are going to happen. Now, I think of this weekend of Texas A&M losing. I think of Arkansas losing to Kansas State, which, by the way, you play Kansas State this weekend. I think of just so many different scenarios through the past of these things happening. You lose midweek games to in-state rivals. Sometimes in baseball, that's just going to happen. But there are things that we need to discuss. Like, number one, I thought in game 1 and game 2, you had situations where you could have really opened the game wide open in so many different aspects. And let's call it what it is. Through 9 innings, through 17 innings to start off the weekend at the plate, you really could not execute when you needed to execute. So I look at you getting the 4 runs in game 1, and you did some good things there, but there were so many scenarios and situations with 1 out in game 1. You get a base hit, man. You open this thing wide open. You get a walk. You put the ball in play. You open the game wide open. And it's not as if that I thought that the at-bats were bad, to be honest with you. I just don't think that you made really good contact. I don't think you got fooled. I don't think that you were bad. I mean, look, you got no hit. Think about this. You got no hit through almost 8 innings before Jake Brown came up there in the 8th and got a hit for you, and you didn't strike out. God, that is, unfortunately, that's the game of baseball sometimes. I love that you put the ball in play. The problem is, this weekend, when you struggled at the plate, you were not executing when you need to execute. Not a problem. Here's why it's not a problem. And last Thursday, you and I discussed that, at least for me, I wanted to see this team face some adversity. I told you on Thursday that I, for a fact, knew, put dots together, I, for a fact, knew that Jay Johnson really, really wanted to go to Nichols on Wednesday. I felt as if that when he came back out in the press conference, he was going to be a little pissed off about it. Thursday, Jay walks out there, and he was pretty pissed off about it because he wanted his team to face a little bit of adversity. Here we are, and here we go. At the plate, you went through 17 innings where you could have done more. Here's the thing, though. The 9th inning of game 2 is when you came out of it. Danny Dickinson, Jared Jones, Jake Brown, everybody getting base hits, and you score 4 runs in the 9th. You would turn around right around into game 2, game 3, and completely obliterate the baseball in a bad weather condition. You had 17 I shouldn't say bad. You had 17 innings that did not live up, number one, to the expectation of what this team will be, not could be, will be. But number 2, it's just early season issue. Okay. It is what it is. It was what it was. What I loved seeing more than anything, though, was in that 9th inning and then the turnaround. Think about this. In game 2, you scored 4 runs in that 9th inning. Game 3, you scored 12 runs. So in a 10-inning span, you scored 16 runs. You came out of it. And it's not as if the weather was very conducive to you. Now, things will start heating up, and I feel like the bats are going to start heating up. I thought you took good at bats. I thought your big star players came through in times at the end of the series when they needed to. Danny Dickinson getting one through, punching one through, Jared Jones punching one through. And I really do feel as if Jared Jones is right on the cusp of really bursting out here. He's fouling off way too many pitches, getting really close to too many pitches to getting a hold of one and really starting opening up in his season. Guys, I'll never forget this. My grandfather, who coached baseball, was a head coach for baseball for a long time. I remember all the people that he coached because he passed before I was born, but like W.E. Knight and all these people used to tell me that my grandfather used to say if a guy's at the plate and he's fouling off a lot of pitches, it's only a matter of time before he really starts hitting a groove. I remember my uncle talking about it, who coached baseball for 35 years, was a head coach for 35 years. I remember him talking about that. I hear guys like Skip Bertman talk about that. I hear guys like Jay Johnson talk about that. That is Jared Jones. Gets a base hit in game 2 and in game 3 with runners on, getting some RBIs, getting some guys in. The 17 innings, sitting through you having opportunities and not coming through, it sucked. For me personally, right now, I'm chalking it up as it just being baseball. Now, it does not mean, that will not mean, that you can clearly continue to have that to happen. But it's not going to. At least I do not believe it's going to. This team has shown the fight that they have. They showed it last year. I think that the last inning, the ninth inning of game 2 showed like they care. I love the fact, too, that you rotated some guys in there that have been sitting on the bench for literally 9 innings. Like Ryan Costello and others coming in there and getting and having really good at-bats, giving you a spark when they needed to. I'm not going to freak out winning 2 out of 3 and losing a game to a team that might win their conference and might go and might make it to a regional. Just not going to do it. Doesn't mean that you can continue to allow those type of things to happen. I don't think that it will. On the mound, look, I thought for what it's worth, you had 2 bad innings on the mound. The 6th inning with Cade Anderson, and then I think it was the 7th inning. The 7th inning in game 2. Connor Bench coming in back-to-back days, got touched up a little bit, gives up a home run. Okay. You had 2 bad innings on the mound. And then you weren't at the plate, you weren't hitting. I thought the starting pitching was still really good. I thought Cade Anderson was really good. I thought Anthony Ianson was good in the performance that he had. Now, what I would say about Anthony Ianson, he's going to have to get that all-speed pitch down lower. He's leaving up. Guys, I'm telling you, this weekend, he's probably going to face off against Nebraska. Not necessarily the greatest of teams. You get into SEC play and you leaving that curveball where he's leaving it, or the split finger, whatever he's throwing. You keep leaving that ball up in the zone, you're going to get rocked. But I mean, he was phenomenal. Chase Shores was the magic moment player of game 3. Chase Shores has shown some really good stuff, in my humble opinion. I don't really know what to say of the rotation right now. I don't think that they've truly been tested. I think Chase Shores has been tested because of him putting himself in some bad situations. But other than that, and Cade Anderson in that 6th inning. But other than that, man, your starting rotation has been phenomenal. I think your bullpen has been really good. So what? Connor Bench on a back-to-back day, the first time that he's thrown in back-to-back days, he has a rough inning. But you literally have a Jay Johnson who said, listen, the entire fall and the early part of spring or early part of winter, he's been the best at getting the least amount of contact. Then he goes out there and gives up a home run. That happens. The kid's going to see performances where he needs to come out there in back-to-back days. It's going to happen. So what? At least you're getting this out of your system now, and you know that you can't leave a fastball right at the belt or against anybody, or that thing is getting out of there. It is. Now, everybody else in the bullpen, Zach Cowan, Kason Evans, even Jacob Myers to an extent. I think everybody looked good, man. I mean, listen. The games that you won, you gave up 1 run when it was kind of BS. You gave up 2 runs because of a bad inning by Cade Anderson. But look, man, there were times and moments for 18 innings, 19 innings that you were locked down. I mean, you could even look at game 2 and talk about the 5 runs that you gave up on game 2. You gave up 4 in 1 inning. And the point of that is that every other inning that you were there, you locked them down and shut them down. When the wheels fell off, they fell off a little bit. I thought all in all, it was a really good series. I thought you showed a lot. I think you competed. I saw flashes of things of a team that you could be really good. And I still think that this team can be really good. And I want to say this because I see it in the chat. I just want to bring this up. Just because A&M lost means nothing to me. It's not a justification point to me. The justification point is listen, you went through 17 innings where you just weren't executing at the plate. You had some bad innings on the mound. It's not relatively the same. A&M couldn't hit the ball all weekend. They would have one explosive inning and then they would win games. Kind of a little bit like you. But in baseball, anybody can beat anybody in any given moment. That is, and I do see that in the chat, that is the truth. So, you got a massive week coming up. You'll face Nichols today, which, again, we're going to more than likely try to be live in the postgame there. You'll face Dallas Baptist. You'll go on the road for the first time. You'll face Dallas Baptist on Wednesday, and then you'll have Kansas State, then Nebraska, and then Sam Houston. Now, I don't remember how the ULL-Nebraska series played out. I do think that it seemed as if ULL took 2 out of 3. Don't quote me on that. And then Kansas State gave Arkansas everything that they wanted and more. So, we'll see. All right. Before we get to Carter Bryant, I got 6 names that I need to give you because we're about to talk some football here. 6 names that I am hearing that have turned some heads and have been talking pieces from people that I talk to that have had a really good offseason so far going into spring. Number 1, Weston Davis. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Weston Davis, the former 5-star right tackle. Somebody got in Weston Davis's ear and said, listen, man, this is not high school. You're going to have to put the pedal to the metal. This is what I've heard about Weston Davis so far early in the spring or winter workouts. And I'm paraphrasing, but kind of quoting. There's been a different mentality in Weston Davis when it comes to the weight room. I think he now is starting to see that if he doesn't put in the work, he's going to get beat out. I expect him to have a big spring because he's been working hard over the last 2 months to become a starter at right tackle. We need Weston Davis to come up and show out. I am very intrigued to see what he looks like and if he gets a crack at that starting right tackle position. Another guy you need to focus on here, Carius Kern. The thing that I keep hearing about Carius Kern is that they don't know if they're going to be able to keep him not in the rotation with the first team. Let's see if the speed and physicality of the game picks up for him early. But I'm glad that he's here. Destin Hill, a.k.a. Fat. Destin Hill coming from Florida State, a.k.a. Edna Carr. From what I have heard is that Destin Hill has put his head down and went to work and has not talked to anybody and has worked his ass off. I think you're getting a guy in Destin Hill who knows that his time of being in college and knows that he needs to get moving here. I will continue to say this. That wide receiver room has got some competition like no other. Nick Anderson starting to get back healthy, running this past weekend for the second weekend in a row. You got Chris Hilton, who's running 23 miles an hour, LSU posting it. Destin Hill is somebody that I keep hearing that keeps being brought up here. So that's interesting. Mansour Delane. There's not a coach on this staff that if you talk to any of them or that anybody talks to anybody, every single person on that staff or that works or is employed for LSU will all tell you the same thing. Mansour Delane is a little bit different. I think they're very high on the experience corner. I don't think that we have seen at LSU since Jared Bernard Converse and Mekhi Garner, dudes that can just play, ball players. I think Mansour Delane is more than a ball player. He's also someone who's put his head down and gone to work, and they think that he might be the best defensive player on their team right now. If that is the case, you finally got a corner that can play a little bit. All right, last person, then we're going to get to Carter here. The talk of camp so far outside of Mansour Delane has been Harlem Berry. The speed, the explosiveness, the route running. I think it's going to be, and it very well may be, very difficult to keep Harlem Berry off the field. I think that when Brian Kelly next week goes to the podium, if anybody asks him about Harlem Berry, what you're going to hear from your head coach is this. Remember, your boy said this now. You're going to hear this from Brian Kelly. He might be the best athlete on the team. That is what you're going to hear from Brian Kelly. They believe, the staff, they believe that they have a transcendent running back in Harlem Berry. I don't know if he's going to be able to run between the tackles. I don't know how this is going to work out. I don't know if Joe Sloan's going to put him in favorable situations. Wait until you hear what Brian Kelly's got to say about Harlem Berry. It's going to be a little bit different. All right. Let me get to a quick break. When we return, Carter the Power Bryant joins us next. We got some football to talk about. Stay with us. Guys, I want to talk to you about our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company. Are you facing tough times due to an injury from a car accident, navigating the complexities of divorce, or purchasing a new home? At the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company, they understand the challenges you're going through, and they are here to help. The lawyer team of Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, along with Morgan Daniels, have the experience and proven track record to give you that peace of mind. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600 to schedule a free consultation at their brand new office located in historic downtown Ponchatoula. They're also doing a special, the AYS special. If you're refinancing or closing on a home in Southeast Louisiana, request the Drake Title Company to handle your closing. If you mention Blake Ruffino and AYS, you're going to receive a $400 discount on title fees. Again, give them a call at 985-386-7600. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you on by. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events, with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag. We're back. Carter the Power Bryant. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us earlier in the day. Thank you so much.
I love early day shows. If I could do all my shows during the day, I would do it. I absolutely love it.
I thought about after we went full time with AYS that I might move to 10 a.m. But I got so much shit I got to do that
you got offspring.
Yeah, I have offspring. And I love being the first, because 7 o'clock makes love. I love that I get the full day and then to react, and I know what's coming. So I have all day to think about this shit. These 1 o'clock shows, they're okay. They're fine, but I like our spot. I think we'll keep it. But today we had to because of the baseball game. Carter, go ahead.
I don't know. There is something I want to shout out my mother-in-law. I don't think she's watching, but I do want to show you this.
Okay.
This was the I should have put this on. I didn't realize that was the same one, and then until it clicked. Look at that.
So we could have been twinsies. You know what's funny? Can I tell you something that's funny?
Yeah, go ahead. I want to hear it.
my mother or mother-in-law got me this one too.
No, there's no way.
I'm pretty sure it was my mother. Yeah.
Oh my God, I needed that, man.
There's only so much gear going around for us fat people.
I exactly. If you're chubby, you got to rock it, man. I've been on a rollback kick, and my mother-in-law decided to switch it up, and now I'm just wearing a hoodie that's been through it all.
You know what's so funny? Me and Ben, my son, went to watch Captain America. By the way, Anthony Mackie from Louisiana, from New Orleans.
Of course, yeah.
I watched a game with Anthony Mackie once. He was sitting. I say I watched it with him, but he was sitting 2 rows behind me.
Nice. Yeah.
We have Saints season tickets. Dude was it was the funniest dude I've ever met in my life. He was yelling at Thomas Morstead. Thomas kicked a punt that was 39 yards, and he was screaming, "Morstead, what is that shit?" And Morstead like come to the sidelines like, "I don't know, Anthony Mackie." You know, like so Ben has been asking to go watch the movie, and I told him I'd take him. Okay. I felt so guilty. I went off my diet yesterday. Do you want to know the cheat meal that I had?
I've got to know. I really do.
Peanut M&Ms. Flawless victory.
Dude, the M&Ms, I'm with you on the M&M thing. Yeah.
I know. I'm only a peanut M&M guy. I don't like normal plain M&Ms. Those are trash.
Well, I'm like you. I would pull Steve Smith Sr. and cheat as well. But I would cheat on my diet as well on the M&Ms. If they're there, if you're at a movie, you gotta have candy, man. You do.
All right, hold on. This Steve Smith thing is wild.
It is wild. It is wild. I had to pull a double entendre somewhere, but yeah.
The thing is, though, that I hate it for his wife and his kids, because what if this is fake?
It could be.
You know what I mean? And what are they going to do? Come out and defend themselves? You know, what are they going to say? You know, like
nothing. But if you have him on, the smoking gun was a phone call.
But he didn't say any. He didn't say anything. He was just like, "My bad." You know,
I'm sorry. I mean, I would kind of be in shock as well if some random call. But I will say, if you are to partake in cheating, you should never save someone's name as the number 3. Like that's just suspicious as heck. Save him as like Bob Johnson or something like that.
Here's the thing too, though, that I got to bring out there. If you're going to cheat on your significant other, you're a piece of shit. That's my humble opinion.
Yeah, of course.
You're a piece of shit. Like,
I mean, yeah. I don't think that's a hot of all hot takes.
No, I mean, divorce the person before you. If you want to go out there and divorce them, but you don't want to do that because you got a shitload of money. And here's the thing that I've learned in this business, and it does happen with local media. You know who I'm talking about. The media business got some horny ass people in it.
Yeah. I mean,
Joy Taylor, Steve Smith, the local people that I hear are doing some finagling. I mean, it's just like, man, put your thing in your pants. Like, chill out, Peter Pan.
No, I mean, if some energy needs to be released from time to time, Blake, that would be the
that's why you get married and you tell your wife, like, hey, I need this right now.
I mean, sometimes though, it's not good enough. And honestly, Blake, a lot of it is ego, right? If you do what we do, you're going to have an invincible ego, and you think you can do whatever you want.
Well, but, Steve Smith, shame on you, sir. But you know what is interesting? These coaches coming out there saying that they don't want spring football games. Have you been seeing this?
Yeah, we talked about it briefly.
All right, let's talk about it a little bit. Do you think that LSU should stop doing spring games? Now, I did a poll. I don't know if you saw it. Like 90% of people either said they didn't care, which wasn't a lot of people, but majority, like 60% of people said that they want spring games. It's a fan engagement thing too.
Yes.
I mean, I don't think we should go away from it. And here's another thing too. it's one thing to do what the NFL's doing, but they do it in June and July and then go into August. They do OTAs, mini camps. The developmental piece is so much bigger in college.
Yes. And Blake, spring games are cheap to attend. They're just free. Go. They're free. Right. Okay. And the level of access you can have at spring games is ridiculous. It's where I met Damian Shanklin. It's where I interviewed Bryce Underwood and met his dad. And I know it's a sore subject, but that gave me some very vital information. I obviously didn't end up picking LSU, but it wasn't just that. It was, speaking with coaches. Players just kind of hang around the stadium after spring games. It's a far more relaxed environment. And on top of that, it's a day game. So it's a day game that happens at 1 p.m. All right. So I understand that it's hot as the Devil's ball sack at 1 p.m. I get it. But you can make a one-day trip. If I'm in Monroe, Louisiana, I get up at 6, 7 a.m., no traffic, get into Tiger Stadium to watch a football game. Now, it's not
normally they have baseball games right after.
Right. So it makes a lot of sense if you're a smart LSU fan and you want to experience it. I went to the spring game last year. I was able to film a lot of content. It was where we shot our opening thing. So I highly recommend people don't think they're too good for a spring game, and it's free seating. Get there early as you want and get as low as you want, and you can bring your whole family. I'm a huge spring game guy, and it's important to have an actual game. Ole Miss had a dunk contest. But yeah, just do like an actual game, even if it's not like the real thing. I think it is beneficial for your fan base.
I don't like the reasoning behind what Steve Sarkisian, Matt Rule, Lincoln Riley are saying. Lincoln Riley didn't even say anything. He made a spokesman go out there, and then he told Dave Wilson of ESPN that it's a fan engagement thing, so why do we have to attend? Well, buddy, no one's attending your home games during the season. Maybe you want to get your fan attendance back up. That's right. Number one. Number two, Williams-Nwaneri went into the portal this year and had a do not contact. Matt Rule's running his happy ass out there saying people are tampering. Buddy, you tampered.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah,
stop with the bullshit. And then this is the thing that bothers me. The national media and media in general will run out there and say, yeah, man, we gotta get control of tampering. Brother, they're going to pay this kid roughly about $1 million, $1.5 million, and they tampered with him. Like, if I'm Eli Drinkwitz, I'm like, hey, bro.
Come on.
Come on now. Steve Sarkisian came out and said that he doesn't want people on his team to be seen in a spring game. Dog, if LSU wants to try to tamper with one of your players, they've been recruiting them since high school.
Right.
They know where these kids are at. And by the way, here's the problem. These coaches aren't talking to the players. This is what people don't get about this. They're talking to the agents.
Yes. Exactly.
Hey, I need a safety. Listen, I'll tell you exactly how last offseason spring went.
Oh.
About 20 teams called these agents and said, we need defensive tackles. Oklahoma, Texas, LSU, Florida, Florida State. They all were calling saying we need DTs. These agents go to these players and say, hey, man, you could probably make $1 million you got in the portal. They didn't say what team they were going to. So that is how it goes down. It has nothing to do with these coaches. I think it's soft, if I'm being honest. Offensive line play has gone down so drastically because you're taking reps away from them. Now, here's a solution I'd give you. You don't want to do it? I wish they would give the entire month of July that coaches can go on field, no pads, no helmets, but they could go through board drills. They can go through 7-on-7. They can do all these things. It would make the product that much better.
Yes.
Why are we they say that they don't want coaches to be there because they go on vacation. Here's the truth. You know what? Go on vacation. Go on a week and a half vacation. When you come back, you can go right into it. Don't take your vacation away, but let coaches be on the field with these players and the product will be better.
Yeah, I'm with you. This is and this is coming from a mostly football guy. You do a lot of baseball. The college football season is just the worst. I mean, it is literally the worst we have. And you're trying to take spring games away to make it even worse. And then on top of that, Blake, to your agent point, that's how it works in the pros too. Agents do the exact same thing. And if we're going to say college football is now a professional organization, well, that's what agents are being paid to do. This is professional sports. Hell, freaking Bill Belichick is a college football coach. Do you think he's going to come in and set up a college football program? No. He's setting up UNC to be the freaking Patriots. How they want to run is going to be like the New England Patriots. And you're going to see a lot more of that throughout football. So, it's making me question my overall love of college football. It'll always be there, but I mean, there's just so much change that goes along with it, and it's kind of exciting at the same time.
Yeah, listen, how about this? LSU, Brian Kelly, if there's a message, like there's two things that I would – well, number one, I do think we need a commissioner.
Yes.
I think these conferences need to sign a collective bargaining agreement.
Yes.
That if you get caught tampering, if you're doing X, Y, and Z, you get popped. Number two, Carter, I feel as if, and this is not me being cocky, I feel as if that if I had that job, I could fix college football in literally 24 hours.
Yeah, you're too cocky.
No, I could fix it in 24 hours. Let me tell you how I'd fix it. I would openly go after Nebraska for tampering. I would make examples of team after they signed a collective bargaining agreement saying that these are the three things that you cannot do. I would open up the month of July and do exactly what I just told you. Okay. I would change the calendar for recruiting. I would literally change it, the calendar. If you want to early enroll, I am making signing day January the 20th till February the 28th.
Yes, totally with you on that.
Okay.
Totally with you. Yeah.
Okay, so I could do that in a 24-hour span.
Yeah, but you'd have to deal with the academic calendar stuff with the
then early enroll. Then early enroll. I mean, but here's the problem. These kids are signing in December. Okay, they've already put in paperwork in November and October to early enroll. The process of the date of when the actual early signing day is doesn't change. Newsflash to everybody. It doesn't change. So what? You're filing the paperwork. It is what it is. It's just a meaningless process. So, again, they're taking away tradition is what I hate. We could be so much better than what we are. Anyway.
Well, no. I know I always go to this take in the off season because it's nostalgia, but anything to bring back Bayou Bash were you able to ever attend one of those, Blake?
I attended one Brandon Taylor's senior year, I believe.
Yes,
the 2011 team.
Yeah, the recruiting bash that they would hold. I don't think I'm saying the right name, but that was literally one of the coolest experiences. But if I was co-commissioner, I would definitely be alongside you, Blake, in fixing the signing periods. But we're just going to keep doing it, and it's still going to be a mess, and it's going to make, and listen to me. Yeah.
Everybody thinks that TV revenue is going to save everything. The federal court says NIL cannot go away. Collectives cannot go away. Teams are going to outbid you by TV revenue. It's literally what Miami just did to Wisconsin. See, people don't really follow what needs to be followed. It's about to get worse. Ted, listen to me. I promise you this as God is my witness. Ted Cruz is over the NIL collective committee.
Right.
He's a representative in Austin and in Texas and in Texas A&M. Do you think Steve Sarkisian, who's had back-to-back Final Four appearances, is going to tell him to get rid of collectives when they've been able to buy whoever they want to buy? You're an idiot. You're an idiot. That's how it's going to be ran. So you better buckle up and get ready for it. All right, I got a question for you. Let's get to some LSU here.
Let's do it. Let's go.
Jawan Johnson moved to quarterback.
Yeah.
This ain't a Colin Hurley thing. The kid had already moved before that happened. Carter, it's a horrible move.
Yeah, I don't fully get it. I will say it will make LSU's practices during this offseason go smoother, just because it's one more quarterback in the room, right? I like as many
does
spots.
he get through a spring and then realize he can't do it? That's my only problem.
Right. I don't understand moving him from DB from the get-go. And look, I want to shout out Pierce. I think he actually brought this up to me before. Man, I still want to see him play DB. And last year in this kind of quasi running back role,
he was excellent at star, by the way.
Yeah, that's the craziest thing about it was during the practices. I mean, there was some chatter about him actually playing a lot as the star nickel corner role. And what if he was actually like good at it? Would you have had to keep trotting out Major Burns and the list of players that played terribly at that role? So you put him at running back last year. It was okay. A lot of mistakes, but that's normal for a true freshman that was a quarterback at LCA, then a DB at LSU. Okay, let's put him at running back and see what happens.
Well, this problem started because me and you had been clamoring that Frank needed to go in the portal and get a running back.
Right.
And he didn't do it. So when who got hurt?
John Emery. When John Emery got hurt, they had to move him because they felt like they needed the depth. No, we told you needed a running back because you thought that you getting back John Emery was going to save everything after the dude's been injured for how long? I mean, you couldn't count on John, and I love John, but you couldn't count on it. Carter, This is even this is a horrible move for him, in my opinion. And listen, I say that with all due respect to him, okay, because people will be like, well, Blake, it's his decision. You're right. You make your own decision. Buddy, you would be a starter right now if you were at star. He'd be a starter right now. Yeah. Yeah. And I also think there's a piece of him knowing all the records that he holds. He's probably saying, well, if I just automatically become a DB or an RB and I never actually give QB a try, I'm always going to ask myself, what if? But my thing and what I would say to Juwan is, do you want to play? Then it's just that simple. Do you want to play? At quarterback, he's not going to play next year unless there are major injuries or if he's,
Michael Van Buren would have to really fall off,
which isn't going to happen. He's good. I really do like Van Buren. So look, I don't think there's now if he comes in and he just balls out of control and he becomes the top backup behind Garrett Nussmeier, then it was a very good decision. But he would give you so much value as a defensive back. That's the biggest value he would give this team right now, especially considering that I've heard the same thing as you have as far as Harlan Berry is concerned. He's pretty much locked in with everyone at LSU saying this at this point. He's pretty much locked himself a role as a year one guy. Harlan just got a year one grade from me. And I was very skeptical because he's not the biggest guy, but he's just so special with the football.
Durham better watch out. He better watch out.
Well, I mean, we'll see. I think Caden's going to be so unfreaking believably good next year. But with Juwan, I'm wishing him nothing but the best. But I still believe defensive back is his best position. And I think that's where he would thrive the most. But we'll see what this QB thing looks like.
He can't throw.
Yeah, I mean,
you're in a abbreviated air raid offense.
Yeah,
I even saw people on our media corps saying, "Now put in a package for him." What package? I
don't know.
Start being realistic. Stop coming up with these dumbass takes about putting a package for him. What? They know what you're doing, you dumb son of a bitch. Like, they know what you're going to do. You can't just put in a guy that's a running back that's just going to come in there and just absolutely do so. What about the Wildcat? Yeah, okay, sure. Those offensive lines dominated. Right now, you don't know if you can bust a grape along your offensive line, which is why the whole Carius Kern, Weston Davis thing is a whole big deal. I brought this up earlier. Everybody's talking to me about Carius Kern, by the way.
Yeah. I'm trying to, because I've gotten to know him a little bit.
Limit the expectations for him.
Yeah, I mean, I've hyped him up so much. I mean, like I got to know him. I got to see him play in person and talk to him. And I don't want to ever overhype any true freshman, especially one at offensive line. But I mean, the dude's a freak. I mean,
He's a freak.
He could do backflips, and he's massive.
Dude, he went in there and squatted 500. He's not even. He should be the senior prom.
Yeah, and I think he could be a really good power forward defensive lineman. He's unfreaking believably explosive. So I'm excited about him, and I do think he'll be a piece of this team next year.
Let me ask you this. This is the last week not the last time you and I are going to talk before spring, but not this Saturday, but the next. Spring football camp opens.
Yeah. Let's hear
it. Is this the biggest spring in LSU's history when it comes to finding out answers? Because I got more questions now than I've ever had on any team since 2017. Like I've never had this many level of questions about a team ever.
Yeah, Blake, I think one thing as LSU fans you need to come to grips with is this is the first mercenary team, right? This is the first actual transfer portal class. I heard you talking about,
Would you put 2022 in as in that category?
Yes, but with Jarek Bernard Converse, who you mentioned, Greg Brooks, I mean, those guys were coming home to Louisiana. It made sense.
And we're starters.
Yes. So now you have a lot of guys with no real Louisiana ties that they weren't for sure going to pick LSU. You had to go out there, beat out a school like Tennessee that has a good collective and is really good at closing in on transfer portal guys. Josh Thompson's probably top 5 most important players on the roster right now for your success. You really had to get him in here, right? It wasn't like a lot of the LSU transfers of past that were just, kind of picking LSU because it was a homecoming of sorts. So this spring is going to be different because there's so many players that are coming in that are full all-out adults. They have played a lot of college football. They're year 3, year 4, year 5 kind of guys. And you really, really, really had to be competitive NIL and be competitive with your vision and getting them in. So it's going to feel different. I'm not saying that there haven't been other recruits that are just like that per se, but to me, this is the first year that, kind of feels like what Ole Miss was last year with all the guys that they brought in.
Listen, man, I have more questions than 50 Cent's early 2000s hit 21 questions.
Oh, you got 22 of them.
I got more than that, man. I mean, I really do. Listen, I could make an argument that you really literally do have 22 questions. Let me
or you got as many questions as Jay-Z has problems. You might have 99 of them.
Well, Jay-Z got some real problems. Just ask the P. Diddy indictment. I mean, he's all up in that thing. Apparently,
I will not ever comment on that because I don't want a bunch of black SUVs outside my house.
Well, they can't do that. It's freedom of speech. All I would say is it wasn't the only thing that he was apparently into. That's what I'd say. I think you could say that there's a question mark for all 22 positions, starting positions.
Yes.
Because Pyburn's never been a full-time starter. Patrick Payton, everybody keeps clamoring that his effort sucks. I don't think you're ready in the interior of defensive line until Bo Davis puts his foot down and says it's time to go. By the way, Sadir Mitchell, he might be 360 pounds. They're gonna run odd man front stuff. 2 defensive ends will stand up at the side on the edges. Get ready for that. That's coming. Number 3, what does Harold Perkins look like at star? What do you do with him? I saw Max Toscano's thing. You can't put a Matt House scheme and say that's the same exact thing of what Harold Perkins will look at star. You sent too much pressure from there. So I'm out on that. I don't think too, and the one thing you and I disagreed last week on, you can't throw them out there for just one down. They're going to know what you're doing.
But that's not necessarily true. I mean, you can do.
They 100% will know what you're doing. You're not bringing in Harold Perkins at star for him to go in coverage. You're not doing that.
Yeah, but like if you're bringing him in as a second and long and third and long guy, you don't necessarily have to bring him on every down or back him out or whatever. I still think
that makes my point even so. Then what are you doing on just because you keeping him out on first down means what exactly?
Well, it's a standard down, right? Like I would prefer using him as a. Let me ask you. So you want Harold Perkins on the field, like a similar snap share as like Major Burns or Swinson last year, like 70%, 70 to 80%.
Yeah, because you're sending it 50% of the time anyway.
So where do you want Harold Perkins to play? You
I would put him in start if you're based off the scheme. If you're going to send 50% of the time at pressure, Carter, the problem is that I don't think people have realized yet. He's going to be going up against tight ends and running backs rushing the passer. In rundowns, he'll be going up against tight ends in the running game. That's the part where I don't think people have fully understood the difference of where they're going. The reason he was so dynamic at star and you sent zero pressure was mainly due to the fact, okay, that because he's lined up against those human beings. Here's the second thing. Harold Perkins had nothing to do with your interior defensive line getting dominated. And even with post-injury, you were worse. You were worse. From a statistical analysis, you were worse. You got dominated in the interior. That's not a Harold Perkins problem. That's an interior defensive line and linebacker problem and a safety problem for that matter. So we're clamoring on him because we're trying to find a role. Taking him out and doing whatever, it is a question mark. But based off the scheme that you're doing when you send that much pressure from that specific position, and I know that unless you do something astronomically crazy along your offensive line that he's matched, Carter, there's probably a 70 to 80% chance that the guys that would be blocking him would be a tight end or a running back. Unless you slide to him, which then are you going to slide away from Patrick Payton? Get out of here with that. It causes such great chaos that I think that if he gets back to where he is health-wise, you can't just throw him out there on those long and down situations. And here's the problem. The problem with putting him in on these long situations, you might not be good enough to be in those situations because your interior defensive line and your interior linebacking core can't get the job done. So even going back to the holistic thing about all these questions, what do you look like at corner? What do you look like at safety? Yeah. Your defensive line, Broody Poo. Can you get after the passer at edge? Can you contain guys? Can you stop a running quarterback? Here's another one. Let me go ahead and get beat up for this one. Does your quarterback create 17 total turnovers? Can you run the football? Is Barian Brown actually a receiver or is he a gadget guy? Is Nick Anderson, who came in here hurt, will he not be hurt anymore? Can Chris Hilton put bubble wrap around himself, and then when we get through August, just let him run a little bit and put him in bubble wrap?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like Flage's like someone that plays every minute of every game, every minute, like the most reliable player.
Did you see that Chris ran 23.5 miles an hour?
Yeah, I mean, he might be the fastest receiver since those Xavier Carter days. That's a deep cut right there.
Yeah. I used to put Xavier Carter at running back on NCAA football. One year he had 3,000 yards rushing.
Yeah. So to your point, you also just need all the coaches to step up. You mentioned Joe Sloan, previously. I mean, if he calls better plays, they're going to win more games next year. Play calling was an issue. So hopefully Alex Atkins comes in with some bright ideas and gets a run game going. And hopefully Garrett takes another step as well.
We shall see. Carter, the Power Bryant. Thank you for adjusting and being here with me.
Shout out Kim Mulkey getting it done yesterday.
750 wins. I don't get enough time to talk about basketball here.
Oh, I'm all women's basketball.
What did you think of the game yesterday? Look, I thought I listened to Kim's post game. That doesn't mean that I'm not listening to him or listening to her or watching him. I'm always watching. She's right on one thing. Michaela Williams is not talked about enough.
Yeah, I mean, I love Michaela. I've gotten to know her. She's been on the channel before, and man, I've actually not talked to her in over a year. But great family. None of this shocks me. I mean, there's
the three she hit. Jesus Christ, Carter. That's as clutch as it comes.
Yeah, she's just like blue collar, next level clutch player. I mean, there is a video, and I highly recommend everyone watch it. She's mopping the floor before a high school game. I mean, it's just those little things that builds that championship culture. So I'm just so freaking excited about what's next for her, and I'm excited for Dave Wilson and a few of the other role players stepping up and that amazing comeback victory. It was a thing of beauty. But my question for you, Blake, do you see this team as a one that could make another Final Four run?
No.
I'm right there. I'm about right there with you. But
I think they're an Elite Eight team. Michaela would have to go off again. And it depends on seeding, by the way.
Right. Like if they were to play, let's just say it's them versus UCLA. Well, they do a lot of good things to match up, versus UCLA and all the pressure.
I'll tell you who I want. I want Notre Dame. Notre Dame's number one team in the country. I want Notre Dame. And listen, I've never asked Kim Mulkey for a damn thing in my entire life. And she's from Hammond. I literally see her brother every other week. I've never asked for anything. And I could ask if I needed to. Let me just say this. I need her to beat the dog shit out of Notre Dame if they get matched up. I'm calling in all my chips.
Oh, so you're not mad at Notre Dame's women's team. You're just mad at Notre Dame.
Oh, I would rub that shit in. I would rub that shit in so bad. I'm going full cutthroat.
Henny Hidalgo doesn't know what hit her. She's not ready. She's not ready for Michaela.
I literally got a DM this weekend from a Notre Dame fan that told me that I got big titties. They are ruthless. They hate my guts.
Oh, they don't like me either. But I think you got some. I mean, regular titties.
Some really firm, good male titties.
Yeah, I just think they're. I was at your house not too long ago. I didn't get a chance to partake in seeing your upper body strength. But yeah, I just think you have a regular man chest. I don't. I mean, now you want to. I mean, there are a few SEC coaches that have some Salma Hayek.
Sam Pittman got them quadruple Fs.
I won't name them. You will. Because
Sammy got them hogs, baby.
I kind of wish I had some though. I mean, I just think it would.
No, you don't.
What do you think gets clicks, baby? If I had some Sylvia Sweeney's right here, I mean, I would freaking. This would be a true power hour LSU.
You know those girls that do the gambling videos? There's this girl that walks the walking bets. I'm like, come on, dude. The only reason that you keep going viral is because them things are bouncing around everywhere. She's like below 50% on her bets, by the way.
Yes. Worse than that.
Right. I mean, but them things is bouncing, and anyway.
I will tail those picks, like, I mean, that's and now they all do the meme coins, and you lose that way too. So they're getting you both ways.
We're gonna do a Blake coin and a Carter coin. How about
let's
that?
Do it.
All right, got to get out of here. See you, buddy. We'll talk soon. All right, that's Carter the Power Bryant. Need to get out here myself. We'll more than likely see you guys tonight. Until then, Blake Ruffino, AYS Sports, non-Bama fan. See y'all soon. Peace.